O'Keeffe's work is some of the most recognizable by an American modernist, and I was hoping this exhibition to help people to maybe recognize some of the things that she does that are very characteristic and why it is that they recognize her art. And one thing that I found really interesting in doing this exhibition is that I had initially thought I would be pairing a lot more drawings with finished paintings, and what I found is there was a real separation for her in drawings she would do that were complete drawings that were finished, especially early in her career. She did a lot of works on paper. And then for her paintings, her studies are really very simple, and I describe her as a very cerebral artist. I think that she knew what she wanted to do in her head. So we don't see a lot of erasure marks, we don't see her going into a lot of detail and experimentation on paper. And then when she paints, she's also just very precise and conservative in her paint use. She knows exactly what she wants to do, puts it on the canvas, does not go into a lot of layers. And you know, she just had this ability in that way. She often did her sketches on site, might make notes about her colors that she was going to use, and then she would go back to the studio and she would apply the paint there. She already knew in her head which colors were going to match what she'd seen. And so, you know, again, a lot of artists work things out more on the page, on the canvas. She seemed to really know in her mind already what she wanted to do before she sat down and physically did the work. Georgia O'Keeffe was, of course, very long-lived and had a very long career and was hugely successful, most successful woman artist maybe ever, certainly in 20th century United States. And so in this show, we're able to show student work she did in 1905 as a teenager at the Art Institute of Chicago, and then all the way through to the late 60s. And so her first, a lot of her early work was works on paper. We consider her mature career to start at about 1916, that she's kind of a fully developed artist. And then she's really well known for these works that she does, especially in the early 20s, of flowers that are, you know, again, her sort of unique way of looking, that it's almost the way a photographer approaches cropping and enlarging a composition and image, these great, very close-up images of flowers, these very small things that have been blown up. And then the last phase of her career that's represented in this exhibition comes after she takes a round the world airplane voyage in 1959, and then she starts making these views from air, rivers seen from air, clouds seen from air. And so it's almost the extreme opposite of that early cropped enlarged flower concept. Now you've got all of this space and distance and this sort of, you know, topographical aerial view that's been flattened out. And so we see that as you know, this change that happens because of her life experience. She was very interested in the elements of art, which is typical of the modernist, to be interested in color, line, form. We see her using the same forms over and over through the years, especially things like the oval and you know, circular sort of forms. Certain line shapes, you see certain, several paintings in this exhibition have a V in them, so clearly there were certain shapes that just resonated with her, and that's a very modernist thing, to be looking at that, to be so concerned with color for color's sake. And she also, like a lot of the other American modernists, is very concerned with place. Location is very specific, very important to her. So, you know, she has the work that she does at Lake George in New York. She has the work that she does in New Mexico that's very recognizable in that way. That's very much something you see in the United States, in this particular region, and nowhere else. So very specific to location. And that's something that you will also see in the other exhibition, and American Modernism.